Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Take a look around this room. The walls are scuffed, the paint is faded, and honestly, the whole space just feels tired and lifeless. But here's the exciting part. We're about to completely transform it, and you are going to learn exactly how to do the same thing in your own home. Whether you have never picked up a paintbrush before or you have tried painting and ended up with a streaky mess, do not worry at all. This video is your complete beginner-friendly guide to painting an entire room from start to finish in just 7 days. We are breaking everything down into simple daily tasks so it never feels overwhelming. By the end of this week, you will have a beautifully painted room you can be genuinely proud of. So let us get started and bring this space back to life. Now let me walk you through this room so you can see exactly what we are dealing with. Over here on this wall, you can see some scuff marks from years of furniture bumping against it. And look at this corner, the old paint is actually peeling away in places, and there are a few small holes here from picture hooks, and this section near the window has some serious discoloration. And these are all incredibly common issues, and the good news is, every single one of them is completely fixable. But here's the thing. Jumping straight into painting without addressing these problems first is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. That is exactly why planning matters so much. So here is how we are breaking this project down. Day 1 is shopping and color selection. Day 2 is all about preparation. Day 3 covers taping and priming. Days 4 and 5 are for painting. Day 6 handles trim and touch-ups. And Day 7 is our final inspection and big reveal. Alright, Day 1 is officially here, and we are heading straight to the hardware store to get everything we need. Now do not walk into this aisle without a plan because there is a lot to grab. First up, paint rollers. You will want a 9-inch roller with a 3/8-inch nap for smooth walls. Grab a few extra roller covers too. Next, angled brushes for cutting in, painter's tape, and plenty of drop cloths to protect your floors and furniture. Do not forget sandpaper. Around 120 grit works perfectly for smoothing surfaces. Premier is absolutely essential, so grab a can of that too. Now for the paint itself, here is a quick tip on finishes. Use matte or eggshell for living rooms and bedrooms since they hide imperfections beautifully. Go with satin or semi-gloss for kitchens and bathrooms because those finishes resist moisture and are much easier to wipe clean. Now let us head home. Now that we have all our supplies, it is time for one of the most exciting parts of this entire project, choosing the perfect paint color. Back at home, grab those paint swatches you picked up at the store and start testing them directly on your wall. Do not skip this step because what looks great on a tiny card can look completely different once it is on a large surface. Paint at least 2 to 3 sample patches in different areas of the room. Here is something most beginners never consider. Lighting changes everything. During the morning, natural sunlight will make colors appear cooler and brighter. By afternoon, that same color shifts warmer. Then, under artificial lighting at night, it can look entirely different again. Spend a full day observing your swatches at different times before making your final decision. This simple habit saves you from costly mistakes and guarantees you will absolutely love the color you choose. Welcome to Day 2, and today is all about getting this room ready for paint. Before we touch a single brush, we need to protect everything in here. Start by moving all your furniture toward the center of the room. You do not need to move it out completely, just away from the walls so you have enough space to work comfortably around the edges. Once everything is grouped together, drape your drop cloths over the furniture and spread additional ones across the entire floor. This protects against drips and spills that will absolutely happen, trust me. Now, grab your screwdriver because we are removing every outlet cover, switch plate, and any hardware attached to the walls. This step is so important for getting that clean, professional finish. Simply unscrew each plate, place the screws back into the holes temporarily so you do not lose them, and set the covers safely aside. Your walls should now be completely clear and ready for the next steps. Now that the furniture is covered and the hardware is removed, it is time to tackle one of the most overlooked steps in painting, which is cleaning the walls. Many beginners skip this part entirely, and that is a mistake you do not want to make. Grab a damp cloth and a bucket of warm water mixed with a small amount of mild dish detergent. Start wiping down the walls from top to bottom, paying extra attention to areas near the kitchen, doorways, and light switches where grease and grime tend to build up over time. You will be surprised how much dirt comes off even walls that look clean. Once you have scrubbed everything down, go over the walls one more time with a clean damp cloth to remove any soap residue. Now here's the critical part. Let the walls dry completely before moving on. Painting over damp or dirty walls causes peeling and uneven coverage, ruining all your hard work. Now that our walls are clean and dry, it is time to tackle those annoying holes and cracks. This step is still part of day 2, and trust me, skipping it is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. Grab your spackling compound and a putty knife. Scoop a small amount of compound onto the blade and press it firmly into the hole or crack using a diagonal sweeping motion. The goal is to slightly overfill the area because the compound shrinks a little as it dries. Now let it dry completely. Depending on the size of the hole, this can take anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple of hours. Once dry, take a fine grit sandpaper, around 120 grit, and sand the area in small circular motions until it feels perfectly flush with the surrounding wall. Run your hand across the surface. If it feels smooth, you are ready for the next step. Welcome to day 3, and this is where precision really starts to matter. Before a single drop of primer touches your walls, you need to tape everything off properly. Grab your painter's tape and let's get started. Begin along your baseboards, pressing the tape flat against the edge where the wall meets the trim. Move to your ceiling edges next, then work your way around every window frame and door trim in the room. Now here's the part most beginners skip, and it costs them every single time. After laying the tape down, run your fingernail or a putty knife firmly along the inner edge of the tape. This seals it completely against the surface. Without this step, paint sneaks underneath and creates those messy, jagged lines that are frustrating to fix later. Take your time here. A few extra minutes of careful taping saves you hours of touch-up work down the road. Now that your tape is perfectly in place, it is time to prime those walls. And this step is absolutely non-negotiable if you want professional results. Primer is essentially the foundation of your entire paint job. If you are covering dark colors like deep navy or charcoal gray, primer prevents those shades from bleeding through your new paint. If you are working with new drywall, primer seals the porous surface so your paint adheres properly and looks uniform. Here's how to apply it correctly. Load your roller evenly, avoiding excess dripping. Start by rolling a large letter W or M shape on the wall, then fill in the gaps with smooth horizontal strokes. This pattern distributes primer evenly across the entire surface, eliminating thin patches and streaks. Work in manageable sections, moving systematically across each wall. Once everything is coated, step back and check for any missed spots. Now leave it completely overnight. Rushing this stage ruins everything you have worked toward. Welcome to day 4, and this is where the real fun begins. Today, we finally open that paint can and start transforming these walls. But before grabbing the roller, we always start with what painters call cutting in. This means using a brush to carefully paint along all the edges, corners, ceiling lines, baseboards, and any area where a roller simply cannot reach. For this, you want a good quality angled brush around 2 to 2.5 inches wide. Dip just the first third of the bristles into the paint, then tap off the excess gently against the inside of the can. Now the key technique here is using long, smooth, steady strokes rather than short, choppy ones. This gives you a clean, even line every single time. Most importantly, always maintain what painters call a wet edge. This means working quickly enough so your brush strokes never fully dry before blending into the next section, preventing those frustrating lap marks entirely. Now that the edges are cut in, it is time to bring out the paint roller and cover those large wall surfaces. First, pour your paint into the roller tray, filling only the lower reservoir. Dip the roller sleeve into the paint and roll it back and forth along the ridged ramp of the tray. This step removes excess paint and distributes it evenly across the roller. You never want a dripping, overloaded roller because that causes blobs and uneven texture on your wall. Now here's the technique that makes all the difference. Start by rolling a large letter W or M shape onto the wall without lifting the roller. Then go back and fill in the gaps using smooth overlapping strokes. This method spreads paint evenly across the entire section, preventing streaks and those frustrating roller marks. Work in manageable sections, keeping a steady and consistent pressure throughout every single stroke. Now here is something that separates a beginner's paint job from a truly professional one, and it all comes down to 2 simple principles: working in sections and maintaining a wet edge. What does a wet edge mean? It simply means you never let the edge of your painted section fully dry before moving on to the next one. When paint dries before you blend the next section into it, you get those ugly visible lines and patchy areas that are so frustrating to fix later. Here is how it works in practice. Paint one manageable section of the wall, roughly 3 to 4 feet wide, then immediately move to the next section right beside it. While that first section is still wet, blend your roller strokes from the new section directly into the previous one using smooth, overlapping strokes. This seamless blending technique is the real secret behind walls that look flawlessly smooth with absolutely zero visible patches or lines. Keep moving and keep that edge wet. Welcome back to day 5, and this is where everything really starts to come together. Before we even open the paint can, we need to make sure that first coat is completely dry. Run your hand gently across the wall surface. If it feels cool or slightly sticky, it needs more time. Visually look for any shiny or darker patches. Those are telltale signs of moisture still present in the paint. Once you confirm the wall is fully dry, we are ready for coat number 2. We are going to follow the exact same process as yesterday, starting with cutting in along the edges using our angled brush, then moving to the roller using that familiar W or M pattern across each section. Watch how dramatically the color transforms with this second coat. The coverage becomes noticeably richer, deeper, and far more uniform. Those thin or uneven spots from the first coat simply disappear, giving you that beautifully consistent finish you have been working toward all week. While the second coat is drying, let's talk about those tricky spots that trip up even experienced painters. Corners, spaces behind radiators, and areas around light fixtures can be genuinely frustrating if you're using the wrong tools. First up, corners. A standard roller simply cannot reach deep into a corner cleanly. This is where an angled brush becomes your absolute best friend. The slanted bristles allow you to cut precisely into tight angles without accidentally painting the adjacent wall. Behind radiators, a long-handled mini roller is a total game changer. It slides into narrow gaps that your hand simply cannot reach comfortably, giving you surprisingly even coverage without any awkward stretching or straining. Around light fixtures and switch boxes, switch to a smaller angled brush for maximum control. Work slowly and deliberately, using short, careful strokes. Remember, having the right specialized tool for each specific situation makes all the difference between a frustrating experience and a genuinely clean, professional-looking result. Welcome to day 6, and we are finally at one of the most satisfying moments of this entire project. Before we do anything else, we need to remove the painter's tape, and timing here is everything. You want the paint to be slightly tacky, not completely dry, and not soaking wet either. This sweet spot makes all the difference. Now watch how I pull this tape back. I am holding it at a 45-degree angle and pulling slowly and steadily away from the painted surface. Going too fast or yanking straight back can tear the fresh paint right off the wall, and nobody wants that after all the hard work we have put in this week. Once the tape is fully removed, take a step back and inspect the edges closely. You might notice a few small bleeds here and there. Grab a fine detail brush, load it lightly with paint, and use slow, controlled strokes to correct those tiny imperfections carefully. Now that the tape is removed and touch-ups are done, it is time to tackle the trim, baseboards, and ceiling. This step truly takes your room from good to absolutely stunning. Start with the ceiling using a flat or matte finish paint, which helps hide any minor imperfections overhead. Use a brush to cut in along the edges first, then switch to a roller for the main surface. Next, move to your trim and baseboards. Here's where the magic happens. Always use a semi-gloss paint for these areas. Semi-gloss is more durable, easier to wipe clean, and reflects light beautifully. See how the semi-gloss trim pops against the matte eggshell walls? That contrast is everything. It creates a polished, layered look that makes the entire room feel intentional and professionally designed. Apply 2 thin coats for best results, letting each coat dry fully before adding the next one. Welcome to day 7, the final stretch of your painting journey. Today is all about making sure everything looks absolutely perfect before calling the room complete. Start by turning on every light in the room and opening the curtains to let in as much natural light as possible. Good lighting is essential here because it reveals imperfections that artificial light can easily hide. Now slowly walk along each wall, keeping your eyes close to the surface. You're looking for missed spots, thin patches where the color looks faded, or any uneven areas that need attention. Once you have identified the problem areas, grab a small brush and carefully apply a thin layer of paint to each spot. Use light feathered strokes to blend the touch-up seamlessly into the surrounding paint. Work your way around the entire room methodically, wall by wall. Do not rush this step. These final corrections are what separate a good paint job from a truly professional one. Now that the painting is done, let's make sure your tools are properly cleaned and stored so they're ready for your next project. Trust me, taking care of your brushes and rollers now will save you money down the road. If you used latex paint, which is the most common choice for interior walls, simply rinse your brushes and rollers under warm running water. Work the bristles gently with your fingers until the water runs completely clear. For oil-based paint, you'll need mineral spirits instead. Pour a small amount into a container, swirl your brush around, and repeat until clean. Once everything is washed, reshape your brush bristles and hang them to dry. Never rest them on their bristles. Now for leftover paint, stir it one final time, seal the lid tightly by tapping it down with a rubber mallet and store it in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. Label each can with the room name and color for easy future touch-ups. And now for the moment we have all been waiting for. It is time to move the furniture back in and fold up those drop cloths for good. Take your time repositioning each piece carefully so you do not scratch or scuff those beautiful fresh walls you just worked so hard on all week. Once everything is back in place, take a step back and just look at this room. Do you remember what it looked like 7 days ago? Scuffed walls, dull color, and zero personality. Now look at it. The transformation is absolutely incredible. The new color makes the entire space feel so much brighter and cleaner. The room feels more open, more welcoming, and honestly more like a place you actually want to spend time in. Every corner, every edge, every wall looks crisp and professional. This is what 1 week of planning, patience, and the right technique can do for any room in your home. And just like that, we have painted an entire room in 7 days. Day 1, we gathered our supplies and chose the perfect color. Day 2, we prepped the room by cleaning, patching, and protecting surfaces. Day 3, we taped everything off and applied primer. Day 4, we started painting with cutting in and rolling. Day 5, we applied that beautiful second coat. Day 6, we removed the tape and painted the trim. And Day 7, we did our final inspection and touch-ups. What a journey it has been. If you found this guide helpful, please hit that like button and drop a comment below telling me which room you are planning to paint first. Subscribe so you never miss our latest home improvement videos. Remember, you do not need to be a professional to get professional results. All you need is the right plan, a little patience, and the confidence to pick up that brush. Until next time, happy painting, everyone.